Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity in blessing this gathering by mentioning the Imam of our time. And because we are gathered here today celebrating the birth of his grandfather, there's no doubt that we need to keep in our minds the Imam of our time. We find that sometimes living in the conditions that we live in, we forget the Imam. And we find that in our day-to-day lives, days will pass and we won't even think about the Imam. We won't think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hujjah is with us. In our actions and deeds, we need to make sure that we are constantly reminding ourselves of the Imam of our time. When you look to your left or right or in front of you or behind you, brothers and sisters, don't think that why is it that I'm the only one here? Something very important I want to say. Why is it that I have come? This thinking process is incorrect. You should be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are amongst those who Allah has given the tawfiq to come and sit in the majalis and the jeshans for His chosen people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen you to sit in the sittings where the mentioning of His chosen people are taking place. You are lucky. Glad tidings to those individuals who have taken time out to come and remember and look at the life of the 10th Imam. Alayhi afdalu salatu wassalam. We find, due to culture, one of the aspects, or due to living conditions, as Muslims and as lovers of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salam, we pick and choose. For example, in our own minds, we have certain Imams that are greater than others. Or we have certain nights and certain celebrations or certain martyrdoms that we consider to be more important than others in our own minds. However, this is incorrect. Thank your parents. When you get time, think about the reason you're here. The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you this tawfiq is a big thing. That you have taken your time out and you have come. It reminds me of one of the aqwal of the ulama. They say that when a speaker goes to the pulpit, they need to think what the audience are giving them. When a speaker, they go to the pulpit, they need to think what the audience is giving them. And he says the audience is giving something so expensive to the speaker. You know what that is? Their time. You are giving me now 45 minutes, an hour of your time. Therefore, based on the verse of the Holy Quran, هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ, as a speaker and as a reciter, I need to give you something which has more value than life itself. I need to give you something which has more value than life itself. And there's nothing more valuable than the religion of Islam. The teachings of Ali Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon them all. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. And in order for me to express the importance of religion, I will do it in this phrase. And subhanallah, when I think about it, it makes me tremble myself. In order for one to understand the value and the worth of religion itself, know that for religion, someone like Hussein can be sacrificed. This is the importance of religion. That someone like Hussein can be sacrificed for religion. Glad tidings to you, like I said. especially the youth that are here, that you have come and you have given your time to learn about the religion of Islam. We find that whilst one prepares for a talk, they have to look at the different climates and environments that they will be talking in. And it is my tradition or my habit that when I prepare a talk on a specific topic, I like to look at what is available online on this particular topic. Why? Because I don't want to discuss something which is already available to the people. Otherwise, it would not be me worth coming here if someone can sit at home and go onto YouTube and look at a video of the same things that I'm going to say. Therefore, because we are gathered here celebrating the birth of the 10th Imam, Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, there is no doubt that any speaker can discuss the lives of any of the Imams in such a short period of time. More than 1,000 years have passed, and we are still, as the poet says, we are still trying to think about the conversion of Hur, never mind the infallibles themselves. Till today, we are still pondering and thinking about how Hur left hell and came into heaven. So how can we understand the infallibles? We are trying to have recognition of them. When one looks into the life of the 10th Imam, peace and blessings be upon him, we find that a life of 40 years has numerous lessons that can be learnt. And we find that one of the vital factors of any infallible Imam is to teach knowledge, is to give knowledge. That's why we find that from the Prophet all the way to the 12th Imam, there is this consistent passing of knowledge. And we find that we mentioned, due to the conditions that the Imams are living in, their way and their methods of teachings differ. For example, we find that in the time of Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, due to the events that had taken place and due to the harassment that he was seeing, he sought the best way to propagate the religion of his grandfather is through supplications. And that's why we have Sayf al-Sajjadiyya today. When we look at the Imams after Imam Zain al-Abidin, Sadiqeen, and we look at Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, we look at Imam Jafar al-Sadiq alayhi salam, we find that due to the change of dynasty, okay, and because that the governments were busy in this, it allowed the Imams to teach in a different way, more openly, on the pulpit. Then we find that afterwards, when it came to Imam Raza alayhi salam, when it came to Imam Musa Kazim alayhi salam, times were different. And especially in the time of Imam Jawad alayhi salam and Imam Hadi alayhi salam, the conditions were completely different. And in a way, when we look into history and we actually ponder upon this, we find that it's almost setting us up for the 12th Imam. And I will explain this. We find that the conditions in the time of Imam Jawad and Imam Hadi came to a position where, towards the latter years, especially of Imam Hadi alayhi salam, were being under house arrest and not allowing them to go and teach freely, the Imam and the Shias of the time had to resort to some other kinds of means. We find in the books of history and the narrations that when the Imam was taken to Samarra by an army of around 300 people, by the accursed Mutawakkil, we find that he was under house arrest. We're talking about the later years of the Imam, not in the beginning where it was a little bit easier and he was propagating from the pulpit in Medina, from the Prophet's mosque. We're not discussing that time. This time in particular in his latter years, where he was not allowed to speak freely. The Shi'as were not allowed to go to his house. We found that in these years, a new system arose. What was this system? The system of letters. It was not like Zurara, for example. He would go to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, I have a question. The conditions were very different now. Mutawakkil, he had his guards and spies looking at who were going to the Imam's house. They would inform him and then you know what would happen. There is an event that I heard, I've not looked at it myself, however I've heard it from a famous speaker. They say that once Mutawakkil fell ill, and he said that anyone that can cure me, I will do another. I take an oath that if I become well, I will give mal kathir, I will give a lot in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in charity. His mother goes to the house of the 10th Imam. And she goes to him and says that, "Oh Ali ibn Muhammad, my son is ill. And I apologize that he has treated you the way he has, and that he has put you under house arrest. However, I have a request from you. My son has eaten something which is killing him, the poison is killing him. Please inform me what I should do." The speaker says that Imam said that give him a piece of lamb meat and some rose water. The mother took the advice of the Imam and goes back to Mutawakkil. Mutawakkil does not know about this. Why? Because he is stopping everyone from going to meet the Imam. However, Mutawakkil's mother has gone to see the Imam. And now that she has been prescribed with this medicine or this supplement, she takes it to Mutawakkil. And of course, he is cured. The same mother of Mutawakkil is going to the house of Imam. And the story continues that one of his guards informs Mutawakkil that your mother has gone to visit the Imam. Look at the conditions that we are talking about, where even the people know that this is the most learned individual, they are still, because of their materialistic gain, not going themselves and not allowing others to go. And we see this today as well. We see in our own lives that even though we know that we need to refer to the ulama in certain things, we find that certain individuals have almost taken an oath to bad name the ulama. And it surprises me, the fact that in all other walks of life we refer to the experts. However, when it comes to Islam, everyone becomes an expert. Everyone becomes Hujjatul Islam. And this is why Islam as itself by the Muslim is suffering. All you need to do is turn on the TV. What can we do? We need to learn from the conditions of the Imams. What did they do? We believe to be the followers of the Imam. What shall we do in these conditions? When the teachings of Islam are being portrayed in a way where it's giving Islam a bad name, we have a responsibility, brothers and sisters. We need to act upon this. Then we find that with these conditions, Imam still has a duty. The Imam still has a duty because he is the chosen one from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the Imam. He still needs to portray the message. He still needs to save the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. So we find that the Imam, to the extent that he could, he would receive the letters from the Shi'as and the believers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, and he would answer them in written form. We even find in narrations that the companions of the Imam, they would say that we were just about to meet the Imam and then a guard would come to us. We were about to talk to the Imam and then someone refrained us from talking. And now we have the excuse that, no, I have a question, I can't ask scholars, everything is online now. You have a question, look how lucky you are, look in the time that you are living, you can directly contact the office of the Maraja. You have so much facility now, availability now, and we are not making the use of this. On the Day of Judgment, we'll be asked about this, brothers and sisters. That you were living in a time where you were not like the Shi'as of Imam Hadi, of Imam Askari, of Imam Jawad. You were living in a time where you had easy access to the rawat of the hadith. Why did you not make the most of it? Can you imagine, sometimes I think, can you imagine that if WhatsApp, Twitter, all these things were available in that time? How easy it would be. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. How easy it would be for the ulama, for the imams to propagate. Reminds me of a riwayah in Man La Yahdhur al-Faqih of Sheikh Saduq. In the Muqaddamah, if I'm not mistaken, he says that just to receive one narration, everyone's attention on this, to receive one narration, I traveled from my city of Qom all the way to Balkh for one narration. Balkh is near Afghanistan. When you get time, look at the distance. to get one riwayah. And nowadays we get riwayat on our phones, we don't know where it's from, it's been translated, is it correct, what's the sanad? We have devalued the teachings. We have given no attention. When we are so rich in our teachings, we are so rich in our teachings from the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, that aghyar, others, foreigners, non-Muslims are learning from our books and our texts. The first translation of the Holy Quran in English, it was not done by Ayatollah, not a Mufti, not a Sheikh, not a Sayyid. It was done by George Sale, 1734, the first translation of the Holy Quran in English. You would expect someone who is a scholar, someone who has gone to the Hawza, they've studied Islam. This person was a practicing solicitor. When you get time, look at George Sale, his Quran, 1734. The first Quran. Many of the examples I can give. For example, Al-Irshad of Sheikh Mufid. Who translated it into English? Muslim scholar? No. I.K.E. Howard. Sayf al-Sajjadiyya, William Chittick. Bab Hadi Ashraf al-Mahilli that we study as a textbook in the Hawza, William McKelvey Miller, who lived to the age of 101. As Muslims, we are not giving the attention, the value, the worth to the teachings that we have in our own house. Others have recognized what we have, what our teachings are, and they are coming and they are taking it, they are making most of it. However, we are not. That's why I was mentioning, and I always do it, that we need to think. As a speaker, like I said, I have a responsibility. I need to inform, I need to give you something which is worth more than your time. Therefore, for me to start and say that Imam was born in this city and he had, you can look online, you can read the books. However, the latter part of the Imam's time is a very important time. And we find that this silsila and series of letters started. Now, there's a time where the Imam cannot be approached. And the Shias have questions. Oh, Imam, can I wear this belt? It's made out of leather. And I do not know, or I do know it's made out of leather, which is from an animal which I can't eat. It's not halal to eat. Or it's from leather of an animal which is haram to eat. All these questions are arising at the time of the Imam. When you have time, ask the ulama. They will tell you that in the books of jurisprudence that we study as texts, a lot of the hadith are from who? Imam Baqir alayhi salam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Imam Ali al-Hadi alayhi salam. Why? Because the Shias of the time, because of the fact that they had to disperse and they were living under arrest and harassment, it wasn't easy for them. They had not that physical approach to the Imam. They were writing letters. They were concerned with the conditions of that particular town or city. And sometimes, subhanAllah, it surprises me that we think that no, these are masail of today. They existed 1400 years ago. They were existing in the time of the Imams. However, we, and due to our inattention, are unaware of this. We need to focus, we need to look at the text of the Imams. We find that from amongst the teachings of the Imam, in these conditions, this is important to remember the conditions that we are talking about. The Imam, we find, has two things that are extremely important in these conditions. We're free here. We can walk out. We're not under house arrest. The Imam, this Imam, the 10th Imam, is the narrator of which ziyarah? Ziyarat al-Jami'. And wallahi, if you get time, and this is advice for myself as well, if you want to learn about who the infallibles are, let's hear it from the tongue of the infallible themselves. I want to know how Imam Hadi describes Imam Ali. I want to know how an infallible is describing another infallible. Another example of this is Ziyarat Wartha. Look at the way in which Imam Sadiq alayhi salam is describing who Imam Hussein is. How he is portraying the image of the Ashab. It makes you have goosebumps and think, subhanallah, look at these individuals and who is saying it about them. When you get time, look into these ziyarat. Brothers and sisters, as someone from the Shia school of thought, you are lucky. I have discussed with brothers from the Ahl Sunnah and Jama'ah school of thought. They say that you Shias have some things that we do not even have. I said, what's that? They said, your du'as, your supplications, like a Sahifa Sajjadiyya. We don't have that. And it's something that we make use of. Second, he said the ziyarat that you have, in its the eloquence and linguistic masterness in the words. They say that, subhanAllah, this is something that we don't have in our school of thought. And we make use of this from yours. But like I said in the beginning, that because we have these things and we have this enrichment of textual heritage, we are inattentive. And this is the reason why I chose the topic of the importance of knowledge. We find that sometimes we take the zahir, the apparent things, the physical things, and we forget the meaning and the mission and the message behind it. A great example, for example, is of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Why? Because this whole massacre, it includes such an overall and concluded lesson. There's something for everyone. Something for absolutely everyone, from children to those of old age. However, we go to the majalis, we attend the celebrations. However, it's only for that limited amount of time. We don't take it out the door. That's not good enough, especially in our time now, especially. And we find that nowadays people are asking us more and more questions. And this is why we need to read. Again, people might think that sounds a bit easy. Read. I read on my phone. What are we reading? This is the reason why that I chose Surah Alaq, chapter 96 of the Holy Quran, the first 5 verses that were revealed upon the Holy Prophet. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Iqra. The fact, everyone's attention on this, the fact that the first revelation to take place upon the Holy Prophet is what? Iqra, read. There is a specific reason behind this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could say anything else. Uktub, write. Isma, listen. Anything else he could have said. However, the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling His blessed and honorable Prophet to read should highlight for us the importance of reading. Just this verse itself, the fact that it's the first revelation to take place upon the Holy Prophet, and he is being ordered and commanded to read. Who are we to say that we don't need to read? When's the last time, ask yourselves, that you took the time out to go and read about the life of Imam Ali al-Hadi? And people say we don't have works that are in English or Danish. Yes, you do. The fact that you've not looked is a separate thing. We have works in English. Baqir Sharif Qara'ashi rahmatullahi alayh. I went to his library in Najaf and I have seen his own handwriting. This man has devoted his life for the Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salam. On all the infallibles, he has a book. From Sayyidah Zahra all the way to the Imam of our time. And how beautiful he has written about them. The beautiful narration he has brought. The different texts that he has compared. And the struggles that he has gone through so that me and you can read about the Imams. And it's translated in English. I'm sure the majority of us here can read and understand English. There's no excuse. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Recite aloud the salawat. The first thing, I mentioned 2 things that were most prominent in the time of the Imam, that he taught us. First is Ziyarat al-Jami'. The second is fiqhi masail. We are learning about the Imam. The fact that the Imam receives thousands and thousands of letters concerning fiqh and jurisprudence should highlight for us the importance of Islamic law. What is legal? What's illegal in Islam? What can I wear? What can I eat? What can I drink? What can I look at? What can I smell? What can I hear? And we've taken such a back seat in this, brothers and sisters. Some of us have become so liberal. No, this music's allowed because of this, this and this. Ajib. When it comes to music, now that we've mentioned it, Wallahi al-Azim, I have a book in Iran by the name of Al-Mawsu'at al-Ghina. And it's 5 volumes. Every volume is of 1,000 pages. 1,000 pages. The compiler has compiled and collated all the small articles and texts to do with ghina, of the ulama in 5 volumes. There was a time I was interested. I wanted to read about ghina. What's allowed, what are the instruments that are allowed, not allowed, what are the environments. In my eyes, it's such a difficult area for one to pinpoint this is halal and haram. Why? Because a lot of the things are down to the people themselves. So who give me the audacity to say this is halal, this is haram? In the same way that the people that were living in the time of the 10th Imam know that there's the Imam available for us, let's write to the Imam. Now that we don't have the Imam, similarly in our time, what are we doing? We are taking it as our own responsibility, and this is our downfall. This is our downfall. When those people that were living in, even in previous Imams' times, this is a note, that they knew that if we were to conversate with Imam or we were to write letters to Imam, there's a chance that we would get caught and we would be killed. If we mentioned the riwayat of the Imam, we could be killed. Living in those circumstances, they still went to the efforts of communicating with the Imam of their time. In those circumstances. However, now we have so much availability where the representatives of the Imam are here and we do not approach them. And then the problem we have is that we'll do something and we'll do it for so many years, and then we will ask the question and we find out it's haram, and then we blame the ulama. That no, they don't understand, they don't live in the conditions that I'm living in. Baba, you should have asked first. Do you do that in medicine? You eat all the medicine first and then you refer to the doctor. Does it make sense? You have to make sure that this interaction with the scholars is there. It's very important. This is something that the Imams have taught us. And like I said, this started in the time of Imam Jawad and previously as well. However, there were certain aspects which highlighted this more in the time of Imam Jawad and Imam Hadi alayhi salam. And especially in the time of Imam Sahib al-Asl wa Zaman. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So therefore, one of the lessons that we can learn, one of the many lessons, is that when it comes to the teachings of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, we need to read. Because if I was to ask you, how do you attain knowledge? If I was to ask the question, how do we attain knowledge? There's only 2 ways. One is by reading and one is by writing. The writing only comes after reading. That's why the second surah to be revealed in the Quran, what was it? That's your homework, go and check. Maybe it might be Surah Qalam. Go and check. Why is it the second surah was Surah Qalam? Why is it that in Surah Alaq that we recited, there is the mentioning of reading twice and there's the mentioning of the pen? Allama bil qalam, taught with the pen. Why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing upon the pen in the Quran? Noon wal qalam wa ma yastur. When you have time, think about these things. Why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran takes an oath on these specific things? وَالْعَادِيَاتِ ضَبْحًا. Why? وَالضُّحَى وَالْعَصْرِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, na'udhu billah, does not speak in vain where He just swears upon. You know when we say something, for example, like, have you got your phone? And they're like, seriously? Say qasam, say wallah. When we take an oath, this is, incorrect, because there's no need. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking an oath on something, it should highlight for us the importance of that event, of that verse, of that individual. So therefore we need to look that there's 2 ways that I can attain knowledge. One is by reading and one is by writing. That's why Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says that قُيُّدُ الْعِلْمُ بِالْكِتَابَ, that knowledge itself has been confined and conditioned with writing. And again, this is something in the time we are living in is very limited now. I don't know if you realize this, but because I write, because I have authorships, I find that sometimes when we are texting on our phones and we have the autocorrect, sometimes like in English, like received, is the I before the E? Or when we're spelling other words, because the autocorrect does it for us, we become less knowledgeable. We don't think about it as much because the autocorrect is doing it for us. In the same way, when we write messages and it's autocorrected, we don't pay attention because the computer is doing it for us. However, when we write physically ourselves with the qalam, and we think, okay, I'm writing received, I need to be making sure that I'm writing it correctly now. Because there's no autocorrect here. Is everybody with me? You have to make sure that you have this in your life. This kitaba. It's important. Otherwise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not have sworn upon the pen. He would not have taken an oath about the pen. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam would not say that knowledge itself is confined and conditioned within kitaba, writing. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. A lot of the youth ask, what should I read? What should I read? Let's look at what the Imams told their companions to read. Like I said, it makes a difference when someone asks Sheikh Abbas a question, or they ask another reciter a question. There's a worlds apart when someone asks the Imam the question. For example, we find the riwayat that the Imams have stressed upon one thing: recitation of the Holy Quran. We find that as Shias especially, we are seasonal Muslims. What do I mean by this? In Ramadan we have the Quran. In Muharram and Safar we become Muslims in the sense where we are cautious about listening to music, about the hijab, about the way we smell, the way we dress, the adi, and then tamam. All the 9 months. Correct me if I'm wrong. All the 9 months then we're not that concerned. What's on the TV, what we're watching, what we're listening to. It's only the radio. But in Muharram, no. In Ramadan, only the Quran. Last time I came, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me to talk about the Holy Quran. And I will reiterate this due to the importance of it. Now ask yourself, I mentioned this before, ask yourself, when's the last time you read a book about Islam? When's the last time you picked up the Quran and read the Quran? When's the last time you looked at the verses of the Holy Quran and think, okay, I need to try and understand this. This is a living miracle in my house. This is the miracle of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, that will pay witness to my actions on the day of Qiyamah. This is that miracle that abrogated and cancelled all other miracles of the Prophets in my house, in my phone. And I don't go out and look for it. I don't look into the meanings. I don't take out time to look at what the Imam said about the verse of the Holy Quran. First thing that Imam stressed on what to read is the Holy Quran. And the reasons for this are twofold. One is knowledge, as in like knowledge that you're getting from the Holy Quran, from the text itself. And another side which people seem to not give attention to is the emotional and spiritual effect of the Quran. I have a question for you. When you come to the celebrations, the birthdays, the shahadas of the Imams, does it ever come into your mind that this Imam never recited the Quran? Does it even come into your mind? No. So why, if you are a true believer and you follow their footsteps, you don't touch the Holy Quran except for Ramadan? And that's because you have to? Because if you don't, then people are like, this guy's not even got the Quran. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas ibn Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, Hafid of the Quran, Habib ibn Madahir, what does Imam Hussein say to him? You are that individual that would finish the whole Quran in one night. Have you ever thought, why is it that the reciters even say this? Why is it that the Imam said this? Sometimes when I think about it, the Imam can say a lot of things. However, the Imam, like the Prophet, they don't speak out of their own desire. When the Imam calls someone a faqih, have you ever thought about this? This is a certificate from Imam. This is a certificate. The Imam is calling his companion, his childhood friend, a jurist. The fact that the Imam is saying this, the Imam could have said something else. He could have said, you have very good ethics. Why did he mention the Quran? Not to prolong it. The second thing we find that the A'imma stress upon is fiqhi masail. And like we mentioned in the time, the latter years of the Imam, the fiqhi questions were many, thousands. Where the Imam was being asked about all of these things. Similar to what we have in the Tawdil Masail today. However, the format's changed. That's all it is. They were in written form, similar to, for example, the time of Sayyid Khoi, of Sayyid Abul Qasim Ha'iri in Lahore. They would have written questions, and what would they do? They would compile the questions and answers and then publish them. It's the same in our own time. We have questions, we give it, they write a book called Al-Istifta'at of this Fulan Marja. They publish it and we have it in our own hands. Fiqhi Masail, brothers and sisters, are not something that's a walk in the park, believe me. The ulama are here, you can ask them. That's why fiqh is referred to as al-ulum. The mother of all sciences is fiqh. Why do you study the Quran? Why do you study the riwayat? Why do you study even theology? Why do you study sarf and nahw and Arabic grammar? To understand what fiqh is. You need to know what's halal and what's haram. The imams are saying something to us. However, we are not listening. We need to be very cautious about this. And we find that due to our inattention and due to the examples I already given about aghyar, about the non-Muslims that have come and seen the textual importance that the religion of Islam and especially the Shia school of thought have, they have taken the Sayf al-Sajjadiyya and they have made use of it. They have taken the Nahj al-Balagha. Again, Nahj al-Balagha. The ulama say, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you are the believers of that Imam that has given you Nahj al-Balagha. However, as the ones that will say that we will give our lives ransom for Ali ibn Abi Talib, when's the last time that we looked at what Ali ibn Abi Talib has to say? There's 2 books that I'm working on now about the Nahj al-Balagha. And it surprises me that something of so much importance, and again it might be something that we find in everyone's homes, is just decoration for us. Just decoration. That's it. So someone comes in, mashallah, they have the Quran, Sayf al-Sajjadiyya, Nahj al-Balagha, other books. That's all it is. Never do we pick them up. Wallahi al-Azim, if you just look into the Nahj al-Balagha, and as you know, the Nahj al-Balagha is not just, for example, sermons. And you don't have to start from the beginning and go to the end. We find that the Imam has letters in there. He has kalimat al-hikam, where there's small phrases and proverbs that the Imam has given. And we use them in our day-to-day lives, but we don't know that this is what Imam Ali said. We'll open the book and think, oh, I've heard this. See, Imam Ali saying this. So, the first thing is the Holy Quran. The second is fiqhi masail. Make sure that you are aware of this. Make sure you read the Tawdil Masail. Make sure that your fiqhi actions are correct. They are in correlation with the ulama and their fatawa. And like I said, it's so easy nowadays. You are not living in that time where you cannot meet the Imam in this form. I'm talking about in this form where he's under house arrest. Where if you go to see them, you will be killed, you will be harassed, you will be cursed, you will be imprisoned. If you were to go into prostration, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about this, it's not enough. That Allah, thank you, you are allowing me to live in a time when I can practice my religion openly, I can talk about my religion openly, I can go and request a question from the office of Maraja openly. This is ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a bounty. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. I'm unaware of how long we have. About 5-10 minutes inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Because it's Eid, because we are celebrating, I will give you some gifts. I will give you some gifts. However, it's not the kind of gifts that you're thinking, where I'm going to pull out some, gifts and money and stuff. Because we are talking about books and we talk about ulama, we're talking about the imams, what they have given us. Just to highlight for you, in these last 5-10 minutes, what the imams have given us. Let me give you a few examples. And I can promise you, you have never heard the things that I'm going to say before. And this 5-10 minutes will make it worthwhile me coming here. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. We mentioned the Quran, yes? Amongst the criticisms that the Shias face is that they don't give attention to the Holy Quran. They can't recite the Quran properly. They only pick up the Quran in Ramadan. We mentioned these things. However, Wallahi al-Azim, when we look at the works of the ulama in the Quran from the Shia school of thought, it gives you goosebumps. We find that within the Shia school of thought, the biggest text that we have is Bihar al-Anwar of Allama Majlisi, 110 volumes. Now, just here, when I say 110 volumes, this is easy for me to say. Is it not easy? 110 volumes. But those people that write books, those people that write physically know how difficult it is to write one page, never mind 110 volumes. Even sometimes when we are preparing, a text, Sheikh Abbas is coming at this time, we show it to different people, check this, is it okay? The timing okay? We refer to different people. They say, no, you spelled his name wrong. They say this, just for one text, 110 volumes I'm talking about. Compiling the hadith of Ali Muhammad, the ijazat, everything that it consists of. 110 volumes. Allama Maraishi says that there are two scholars from Lahore, Pakistan, you've heard, by the name of Sayyid Abul Qasim Ha'iri and his son, Sayyid Ali Ha'iri. They have written a tafsir of the Holy Quran by the name of Lawami at-Tanzil. Oh Shi'as, have you heard of this? Lawami at-Tanzil? You won't find this on the internet as well. Lawami at-Tanzil, Allama Maraishi, rahmatullahi alayh, says that it is, and I'm quoting, he says, it is unfortunate that the Shi'as are unaware of what their scholars have done for their school of thought. If this tafsir by the name of Lawami Tanzil was to be published in today's edition and form, its length would exceed that of Bihar al-Anwar. Its length would exceed Bihar al-Anwar. This is a tafsir by the name of Lawami Tanzil, written by some scholars in Pakistan, Lahore. And what a tafsir this is. The majority of it is in refutation of the Tafsir Kabir of Ibn Kathir. You know that? This father and son have spent 27 or more years of their lives writing a tafsir of the Quran, which Allama Maraishi, and this is, Allama Maraishi can be discussed in a whole lecture itself. He says that the worth and the attribution of this tafsir is so high in its length that if only it was published, this is the important part, if only it was published correctly, the world would see the service that the Shia ulama have done for the Quran. These are his words. Our ulama have died writing tafsir of the Quran, preserving the narrations of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. When's the last time that we got together in the mosque thinking, okay, today is the day where this alim passed away. This is the day, for example, that Shaykh Awwal was martyred. Let's have a ceremony about Shaykh Awwal. For the organizers, I'm saying. When's the last time that we thought, okay, we have heard about Allama Majlisi, let's have a conference about Allama Majlisi. We heard about Bihar al-Anwar, let's have a conference about Bihar al-Anwar. We know about Nahj al-Balagha, let's talk about Nahj al-Balagha. We're not doing it, other people are. I've attended myself conferences about Nahj al-Balagha organized by non-Muslims. I have attended conferences about Sahif al-Sajjadiyah and no one in the organization circle is a Muslim. When's the last time we thought of the tafasir we have? Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about tafasir of the Holy Quran. These are all teachings of Ali Muhammad. That's the first gift. Second, we find that in the Nahj al-Balagha, because of these things I mentioned, I thought I'd leave them with you. In the Nahj al-Balagha, there are two famous sermons of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. One is without alif and one is without a dot. Is everybody with me? When you have time, look at the Nahj al-Balagha. So therefore, in Arabic, we find that alif, ba, ta, tha, all those letters that have dots, they are not included in that particular sermon. And what a masterpiece it is. That's why I say that even these things, you can't translate them, because the weight of that is completely taken when you translate it. Because Imam Ali, bil badi, and straight away, without thinking, he is giving you a sermon by only using those letters that do not have dots. Alif, ain, sad, sin, all those letters. and he has composed a sermon. Look at the beauty of those who followed the footsteps of Amir al-Mu'mineen. We find that in the time of Akbar, I don't know in Denmark whether or not they studied the history of the Mughals in elementary school, and however we did. We find it's unfortunate that so many Shia scholars are surrounding this court of Akbar. This is a whole topic itself, but like I said, because it's Eid, I'll give you these two gifts, and inshallah for next time we'll discuss it in more depth. In the time of Akbar, we find that there's so many prominent Shia scholars that are available there. Fathullah Kashani, Abul Fayd Faydi, Qadi Nurullah Shushtari, who we've written the translation of ourselves. We find, for example, their father of Abul Fayd Faydi and Abul Fadl. However, we never hear about this when we study them. So after I did the translation of Qadi Nurullah Shushtari, Shaheed al-Thalith, who is referred to as the third martyr, it became apparent to me that these individuals are completely unknown. We find that this is one khutbah by Amir al-Mu'mineen and the world is astonished by it. And look at those that are the students of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Abul Fayd Faydi. Again, these are things you will not find online. Abul Fayd Faydi, he has written a tafsir of the Holy Quran by the name of Sawati al-Ilham. Sawati al-Ilham. The tafsir is in Farsi. Okay? Sorry, this one is in Arabic, because he has two tafsir. This one is in Arabic, Sawati al-Ilham. 6 volumes. From the beginning of Ba of Bismillah to the scene of Wan Nas. Abul Fayd Faydi has written a tafsir in Arabic of the Holy Quran, and he has not used a word that has a dot in it. Not one word. A tafsir of what? The Holy Quran. A text which is already difficult to understand. He has written a tafsir of the Quran by not allowing himself to use words that have dots in it. 6 volumes, brothers and sisters. When's the last time you heard of that? That we have scholars, we have ulama who learn from the teachings of Ali ibn Abi Talib, and they give works like this to the world. When's the last time you heard? This is the teachings of Imam Hadi. Have worth and understanding for your ulama. We find within the riwayat, there are certain things that by looking upon them, you are deserving of reward. For example, when you look at the text of the Holy Quran, ibadah, you get reward for it. Looking at the parents' faces with happiness and being pleased, thawab. النظر إلى وجه العالم عبادة. Looking at the face of a scholar, an alim, ibadah. النظر إلى باب العالم عبادة. Looking at the door of the residence of a scholar is ibadah. Allahu Akbar. Have you thought? That looking at where the house, the door of a scholar becomes worship and is worthy of reward? The reason for this is because of the struggles they go through. It's because of their struggles and hardships that me and you today can say that we believe in Imam Hadi, Imam Jawad and the other Imams. We have their teachings because of them. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.